All right, so we are getting ready to board one of Royal Caribbean's oldest ships, the Jewel of the Seas. And I'm getting ready to tell you, in 2026, is it worth it? Let's find out.
Yeah.
So that, hands down, was the smoothest embarkation process ever. It was less than 10 minutes and we're already on the ship.
Marco's card. Okay.
Just
Okay.
So before I give you all a room tour, let me show y'all how we are able to pack for a 7-day trip and keep it all in a duffel bag. All right. Yo, these vacuum sealed bags are a game changer. Literally our entire outfits. We had all carry-ons because we lost bags before. Well, the flights lost the bags. And we don't want to take that chance. So those vacuum sealed bags that you see on TikTok, get them. Okay, so now that we're all officially unpacked, let me give you all the proper room tour. Starting with the balcony. As you can see, Anastasia's enjoying the views of Puerto Rico. I want to start off with the balcony because we are in cabin 7154. And the only con I would say so far is it is big. However, you have this lip that kind of obstructs your ocean view. But other than that, it's very spacious. Now moving on to the room. Now starting off, we have the nice queen size bed. It looks like there's a little twin pull-out bed, little couch, little cabinet. Now let's go to the bathroom. Nice and spacious. Yep. A lot of storage space. Nice slide out for your closet, for your shower closet. Now moving on, speaking of the closet, there is a lot of closet space. Now we've been on the Oasis class ships, and one thing that I noticed that we didn't have nearly as much closet space, but this, we are literally fitting everything from our entire trip just here. All our theme nights, the different outfits for the excursions, a lot of closet space. So I'll give them that as a pro. But so far, the only con that I would say is the balcony. I'm used to being able to look down at the water. We don't have that. All right, so we are currently off the coast of the beautiful island of St. Thomas, and I just got an amazing workout in. And to be honest, this is my first time working out on vacation. I always admire people who work out and make that time to start their day right, and I aspire to be one of them today. And we did the right thing. So right now, it's time to feed my body and put some protein in. Which reminds me, let's talk about the food and amenities on this ship, because that's what makes or breaks a cruise. In the very front of the ship, you have the adults only pool, which is a total vibe at night. Midship, you have the main pool, which has 2 hot tubs, and there's also a miniature golf course. Had to take some time to practice before I played Anastasia. She's gonna know I'm a pro, Tiger Woods out here. If you head to the sports deck, there's a water slide, rock wall climbing, be sure to bring your shoes, golf simulator, and a basketball court. There's also a vitality spa, and of course, a casino. Now I'm gonna let you all in on a little secret. If you want some cool perks on your next cruise or even this cruise, you gotta spend a little money in this. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the casino because my luck is not the best because the house always wins on these cruise ships. My dad tends to have better luck. But I notice when you spend money on the casinos, the cruise tends to reward you. You might even end up with a free cruise. So I look at it as maybe an investment towards a future vacation, you know? Yeah. So if you go to Vegas, you notice it's the same rules. If you constantly spend money in their casinos, they're going to reward you with hotels, drink packages, whole 9 yards. So, pro tip. Let me show y'all what I think is one of the coolest features on this ship. This ship has a movie theater, which plays different movies every day. Let's check it out. So I believe the Jewel of the Seas and its sister ships are the only one to have this movie theater feature, which I find is pretty cool because I've never seen a movie theater on a cruise ship. But here it is. Check this out. Pretty cool, right? I could probably have about 20 of these. But this reminds me, let's talk about the food. So overall, this trip experience, when it comes to food, I give it an 8 out of 10. Mainly the buffet. We spend about 90% of our time there. We ventured to the main dining a few nights, but for the most part, it was for the lobster, because you know you can't miss out on the lobster, that's guaranteed. But we didn't go to any of the specialty restaurants. My logic is, you all know I'm cheap. If I'm paying for a cruise, I shouldn't have to pay extra for food. But everyone recommended going to Chop's Grill. We didn't experience that, so if you do get a chance and you want to splurge, visit the specialty restaurants such as Chop's Grill. But for the most part, we were content with the main not the main dining, the buffet. Main dining food was okay. There was about a few nights, like the Italian night was pretty good. But for the most part, the buffet was where it was at. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the ice creams. And speaking of these ice creams, I'm used to you being able to go up and get your own ice cream. But that wasn't the case this trip. They are only open at a certain time, and there's someone serving it to you. But other than that, I probably had like 20 of these. These were my favorite desserts. They are always my favorite desserts. They never disappoint. But the food, 8 out of 10 experience. So let me tell y'all what I think is a true pro about being on a smaller class ship. And I'm gonna show y'all on this ship map. First of all, we are staying on the 7th floor towards the back center of the ship. And we are conveniently next to the elevators, but if you walk down one floor, you're near Giovanni's Table, Chop's Grill, the Serengeti Club, and if you walk up 4 floors, you're at the Windjammer. Everything is conveniently near our cabin. And this is a good segue to talk about picking your cabin. You want to pick your cabin in a location that is near what you spend most of your time doing. Anastasia, for the life of her, could not remember what side of the ship we were on. And I told her, remember this, if we're near food, we are most likely in the back of the ship. With the exception of this solarium, because we did get our late night pizza fix in the solarium. But other than that, most of our time was spent in the back. So last night I had a great conversation with my neighbor because, you know, your balconies are so close in proximity that there is no privacy. You know how I made a big deal of that. However, that conversation did give me a perspective because they were talking about how their daughter didn't really find this ship that entertaining. And this brings up a very valid point when it comes to kids and entertainment. This isn't a kid-friendly ship because they set the bar high with their daughter because they started off with the super ship like Oasis class, and the daughter was looking for the carousel and all the other entertainment that the Oasis class ship offers. This does not have that. Now there is the kids play area, the rock wall climbing, the basketball court, and the miniature golf course. Kids can take advantage of that. But overall, this does not compare to the entertainment that the Oasis class ships offer. Now, as far as the onboard entertainment, this ship did it right with what it had. So this was my first trip with no comedian. I'm used to every cruise having comedian. This ship did not have one. However, they had a magician and a juggler, which were both phenomenal. I thoroughly enjoyed the juggler. He was very entertaining. The Jewel of the Seas Orchestra and their singers, they are stars in their own. They were fantastic. I enjoyed every show that they did every night. But as far as the party life on this ship, since it leaves from Puerto Rico, it's more of a Latin crowd. So I feel like every night was a Latin night. It was a Latin dance party almost every night on the Deck 11. As far as the actual theme nights, last night was 70s night. Thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a total vibe. There's a guy dancing in the elevator. He wasn't even part of the Royal Caribbean crew, but he was lit. But they say Carnival is the party ship, but last night it was a party. Everyone did good with their theme nights. So because this is not a super ship, you're not going to get the abundance of entertainment that the super ships offer. You're not going to get your water show. You're not going to get your ice show. But what this does offer is the multiple ports of call, which is why we selected this ship. And we're going to get into that. All right, so we just finished our last destination. We're here at the wonderful island nation of Barbados. You see this amazing view. And I want to give a quick recap on the fact that This was quite an experience. We took one of the local buses to explore Kama Beach, which was, with all the traffic, about an hour north from here. But the original goal was Hayward Beach. But Kama Beach was good because of the snorkeling. There's a lot of rock. There's a big rock formation where a lot of fish. There was a school of fish. I don't know the particular fish they were, but they were all around the rocks. There's about 100 of them. This was one of the best snorkeling experience that I unexpectedly had. But overall, I say that the pro to this trip was the destinations. Our favorite destination, hands down, was Dominica. Words cannot truly describe how much we enjoyed it. It was truly an experience to see the fresh fruits just growing abundantly from the trees, to be able to pick your bananas and whatever just right there for you for the taking, which is something that I don't really have back at home. So I was very fortunate to experience that. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the nature island, especially having land in West Virginia. It kind of reminded me of West Virginia with the mountainous terrain. Just if you put West Virginia with a beach, that'll be Dominica, but more tropical, of course. And of course, with the abundance of food. But overall, Dominica, hands down, my favorite stop of the 6 stops. We visited St. Martin, St. Thomas, St. Croix, Barbados, and Dominica. And all of these islands, to be honest, you can't just spend a day there. You have to spend at least a week at all of them. But if you were to go to Dominica, spend a week or 2 and go island hop into the other surrounding islands. Other than that, I'd say that this was one of the pros to sailing on board the Jewel of the Seas, the abundance of stops and the lack of sea time. We only have 1 day out at sea tomorrow, and to be honest, I don't think I would have liked the trip as much if it had more than 1 day out at sea. So that was a big factor to us picking this itinerary. And I also learned another thing, speaking of which, why I said to Royal Caribbean, you all should make your bigger ships go to a lot of these other destinations. But believe it or not, islands like Dominica, Grand Cayman, they don't like the bigger ships there. It overwhelms the infrastructure of the island. So a lot of them choose to not completely avoid those islands because of that. In fact, they don't want them there. So it was interesting to learn that, because I figured all that tourism would be very beneficial for the locals, but believe it or not, that's not the case. So yeah, I give the edge to the supersized ships in that aspect. But anyways, I think that pretty much wraps up this video. I gotta head back to the ship. We leave in about 30 minutes and I'm starting to be one of those stragglers. But other than that, this has been a real adventure. Until next time.